After this COVID-19 epidemic is over, obviously the world is going to hopefully get back to normal. Let's just say, let's give it 3, 4 months. On the graphic above, you can actually see three fights that I want to actually see after this COVID-19 thing is over. So the three fights that I'm actually looking forward to happening in the future, if I lived in a perfect world and I can choose the three fights that I'd love to see after this epidemic is over, is obviously the first one is Dmitry Bivol versus Artur Beterbiev. Now, if you can notice, both of them have like most of the belts that are in the actual light heavyweight division. It's a unification match as always, and also if you look at their last opponents, um, Artur Beterbiev is actually coming off a big win against Alexander Vodsek. And obviously, Bivol has beaten really good opposition in terms of Barrera and John Pascal, and he's coming off a few good wins himself. Now, what I would actually say is that both of them are like one of my favorite fighters when it comes to actually um, the actual light heavyweight division, and obviously both of them are Russian as well. So it's almost like a civil war in Russia. This particular fight, because you've got the two best fighters in Russia, two best light heavyweights in Russia going at it with each other. Obviously, these two fighters, I would love to see them fight Kovalev as well in the future. So that this is a and also Bob Arum himself has actually said that this is a fight that he's actually trying to make. So this is a fight that I actually do want to see in the future after this COVID-19 thing is over. Another fight that I want to see is Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua. Obviously, Tyson Fury is coming off his huge win against Deontay Wilder, where he's won the WBC title, and obviously Anthony Joshua has won back all of the titles that he lost to Andy Ruiz Jr. So that's another fight that I actually do want to see going forward after COVID-19. And another fight that I want to see is Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford. Now, just statistically, if I was to say in terms of percentage, the fight that I think that's likely to happen after COVID-19, one of the fights is Artur Beterbiev versus Bivol. That's the one fight that I think out of these three fights has the highest likelihood of actually happening. Um, if I was to compare it to the other two fights, I think Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua, that fight's going to be a little bit difficult to make, but it's too big of a fight not to happen. The reason for that is because of their differences. Obviously, Anthony Joshua is with Eddie Hearn, and Tyson Fury is with Frank Warren. And I've never seen them work together, but I think in this particular fight they'll probably come together to make that fight happen. So that's a difficult fight to make, but I don't think it's as difficult as Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford. Obviously, Bob Arum, ironically, is actually involved with all three of these fights. I believe he's involved with Bivol. He's been promoting Bivol's career, or it could be Beterbiev as well that he's involved with. He's involved with Tyson Fury. He's his American promoter. And when it comes to the Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford fight, he actually promotes Terence Crawford. So ironically, these three fights could happen if Bob Arum actually lets it happen. But obviously, Bob Arum being stubborn, I don't think he wants to work with Al Heyman. There's beef there. So out of these three fights, I think the Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford fight is a difficult fight to make happen. The Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua fight, that's such a big fight in the UK that it's going to happen, but there's going to be a bit of negotiation. And the Beterbiev versus Bivol fight, it's ironic because before the COVID-19 pandemic actually happened, Bob Arum was saying that fight was definitely going to happen, and I think that fight is definitely going to happen. So in terms of who I think would actually win these particular fights, I think Bivol versus Artur Beterbiev is a truly 50-50 fight. I actually don't know who can win that particular fight. I slightly lean towards Artur Beterbiev because his fight against Vodsek really impressed me, and I don't think Bivol has beaten anyone close to Vodsek yet. So I kind of a slight believe that Artur Beterbiev could actually win that particular fight against Bivol. I probably, if I was to put it percentage wise, I'd say I'm leaning towards 51% towards Artur Beterbiev beating Bivol, and I'll give 49% chance of Bivol beating Artur Beterbiev. In terms of the Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury fight, I just think for me that's more of a 70-30 fight or 80-20 fight in Tyson Fury's favor. I think Tyson Fury, he's got the skills to outbox Joshua, and then on top of that, in terms of his actual power, he's shown in the Deontay Wilder fight that he can actually knock you out as well. And obviously, Anthony Joshua in his fight against Andy Ruiz has shown vulnerabilities, and he did manage to get knocked down. So I think, in my opinion, that I think I just think I just think Tyson Fury is too much for him. He can outbox him, and on top of that, he can also knock him out. If you can knock out Deontay Wilder, who relatively speaking has a great chin compared to Anthony Joshua, I think he can actually stop Anthony Joshua as well. But I think he'll choose to outbox him and then try knocking him out. So in terms of percentage wise, I actually lean towards Tyson Fury beating Anthony Joshua 70-30. That's my percentage. 70% chance of Tyson Fury winning, 30% chance of AJ winning. And in terms of the Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford fight, I think Terence Crawford actually beats Errol Spence. I just think he's way too sophisticated with his footwork, his ambidextrous boxing ability, and I think I lean towards 80% to 20% for Terence Crawford beating Errol Spence. The reason for that is obviously it's their lifestyle outside of the ring. Or obviously, it seems like Errol Spence seems to drink too much, and it seems like Terence Crawford just seems a lot more dedicated. But not only that, skill wise, I think Terence Crawford just has way too much skill for Errol Spence. So in my opinion, Terence Crawford beats Errol Spence via decision. Tyson Fury beats Anthony Joshua via decision, and I think Artur Beterbiev beats Bivol by decision. That's what I think wins them fights, and I hope after this COVID-19 epidemic ends, we could see them fight. It'll be great to see. So that's my thoughts. Tell me your thoughts below. Who you think would win against who you think would win in these matchups, and tell me what fights you would love to see after this COVID-19 epidemic is over. Peace out, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also like this video so I could make more content for you. Peace out.